I have put up with so much shit on this podcast for 3.5 years now. So you know what, Randy? I'll add another stipulation here. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
If somehow, some way, Team Davey N beats Prestigious, which it won't, but if it does, I will quit as host of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast.
Well, ding dong, the Jon Alba era on the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. It's dead. Well, you know, he's not dead, but his time here is dead. My name is Josh Nason, and this is the Limitless Wrestling Podcast, brought to you by Limitless Wrestling, the best independent wrestling, not only in Maine, not only in New England, but the whole damn United States. Yes, I said it, the whole damn United States, and even I'd say most of Canada, except for this area in Yellowknife, which has a really hot angle going right now, but I digress. You're going to get to see more Limitless Wrestling coming up live Friday, October 15th in Hermon, Maine at the Morgan Hill Event Center, Saturday, October 23rd at the Yarmouth Ambets in Yarmouth, Maine, independentwrestling.tv, all types of other stuff, but we're going to talk about those shows. We're going to look back at the 6th anniversary show, what's coming to IWTV, and plenty more. But I need to introduce my co-host, the guy that this is his brainchild, the best thing to come out of Maine since Red Snapper hot dogs. It's Randy Carver. Randy, we're back together, brother. We're here. We're doing
We
this.
are. And the Jon Alba era is over on the podcast. And I wish I could say that with a lot of certainty, but I just know how this weasel is. And I know that we're going to hear from him again. But a very, very confident guy, as we know on this podcast. We heard him go off the rails a couple weeks ago as we were previewing Euphoria. And he put the stakes. I mean, I don't mean to give you any spoilers because looking ahead, we're going to cover Euphoria a little later, and you actually don't know any of the results. Is that really true?
Yeah, wait for me to make my debut as host for this thing. I haven't seen the last show, and I'll explain a little bit more of that later. But yeah, keep going.
Okay, yeah. So Jon, you know, as confident as he is, put it on the line that if he happened to lose somehow at Euphoria to Team Davey N, that he would quit this podcast, and he is not here today. So there's a little result for you for later, but it's awesome to have you here, Josh. Awesome to have you back. I mean, tell us and the viewers a little bit about yourself, because it's been a while since we've heard you here on the Limitless Wrestling Podcast.
It has, yeah. And believe me, when I heard Jon say that with you and Top Shelf Troy, I was licking my chops. I'm like, oh, this is great. Because I think we all had confidence in Davey N, the Sea Stars, and Becca, and to have everything, you know, come to fruition. I mean, I couldn't be happier. You know, I ran around like we'd won the Super Bowl or something like that. But yeah, so I've been on this show before, mainly in just kind of not even an analyst role, just kind of a fan role, I guess you could say. I first came into the Limitless world. I work for the Wrestling Observer. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez's side have been there for, I think, 11 years now.
Wow.
As a part-time job. Yeah, long time. And so I was just, you know, I had, and I also have background in indie wrestling myself, not in the ring, but technically in the ring. I was a ring announcer for the EWA, Eastern Wrestling Alliance, back in 2000, 2001. Michael Labby, who wrote the great book on Limitless Wrestling, is a staple at all shows. He and I used to sit next to each other. He was the timekeeper, I believe, and he was, we used to sit next to each other at the shows. And around ringside, and that was a lot of fun to kind of get reacquainted with him. I learned about Limitless Wrestling, and you know, I had not been to a show, even though it's my home state, even though I live in New Hampshire now. But I'm like, I gotta go check this out. And finally, I'm like, I gotta do this. So I got in contact with you. I actually had you on my podcast on the Wrestling Observer website, and we just basically shot the shit for like an hour. Came to my first show. First time I walked in, it was Darby Allin versus AC Romero in the ring at the Portland Club, or the Cumberland Club, or whatever, in Portland, and I was hooked from there. And I've just been into the product ever since. Watch everything, attend as many shows as possible, and really just kind of fell in love with this. I think being a wrestling fan, but also seeing how it's come so far from back in 2000, we were running the Stevens Ave Armory, and from about 100 people, and a much different product, to kind of see where we're at today with Limitless. It's it's been a dream. So yeah, I've hosted a podcast before, and my goal in coming here and doing this is to be the voice of the fan, to be enthusiastic, fun, to try some different things on this. I've been listening to the podcast obviously for a long time as well. It's very unique. Not a lot of promotions do this. And it's I think it's to bring this whole thing to life and try some new things, and also to talk about this thing that is so much fun for so many people, which is Limitless Wrestling. So thank you for having me. Thank you for including me in the world. And I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
Cool. Let's jump right in then. I'm glad to have you here. And I think especially like over the past few months, because like when we were in the closed taping era of Limitless Wrestling, there wasn't too much to like talk about in a podcast format. So since we've kind of had it back in the swing of things over the past few months, a ton of people have been commenting and happy to listen. So I think they're going to be stoked that we're going to have kind of a regular schedule with this coming soon. So glad to have you, Josh. But as you said, we're coming back to Hermon, Maine, Morgan Hill Event Center, Friday, October 15th. Under 80 tickets remain for this. I just checked before we went on the air. So not a ton of tickets left. It's the in-ring debut of Dirty Dango teaming with Anthony Green and Ace Romero, a super team right there. They're colliding with the Jon Alba-less Prestigious, and I'm very intrigued to see if Mac Daniels, BRG, Channing Thomas, not only can they coexist and get the job done without Jon Alba, but how much did he come in handy pulling the strings for those guys during a match? So it'll be very interesting. It's a big match scenario. It's their first main event in Limitless Wrestling, so we're going to see how they handle themselves. It'll be the return of Eddie Edwards as well, former Impact Wrestling heavyweight champion, going one-on-one with the Prize City OG, Alec Price. He's got a loaded month for Limitless Wrestling coming up. We'll talk about that later. No DQ action as well. Alexander Lee and Slade colliding once again. It's a rematch from our Hermon, Maine debut. Little controversy on the ending of that match. You can check it out for yourself on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. We just released it yesterday. But Slade believing his shoulder was up. Alexander Lee walked away with the win, and Slade wanted a piece of Alexander Lee once again. So this will be the third time, actually, in about a year's time that they've collided in Limitless Wrestling. The first being on the road, the second being at Leave No Doubt. And this time we're throwing the rules out the window. It's no disqualification. And then MSP, Danger Kid, Aggro, their first appearance in their home area. They weren't able to make the show last time. They're colliding with Ava Everett and Charles Mason, a team of lunatics at Dancing on Thin Ice.
Yeah, this card, it looks great. And you mentioned Alexander Lee and Slade. Those guys had some bangers during the road series. I believe at least two. I'm trying to remember all these crazy matches Alexander Lee had, but these guys have hooked it up before, and pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, and it went off the rails then, too. I believe there was a steel chair wrapped over the head of Slade. So I don't know if I'm excited or worried that now we're throwing the rules out the window for them with a no disqualification match. But it'll be interesting, to say the least.
I remember the road matches, that the stack of tables that was like pushed over in like that far corner. And somehow during most of his matches, Lee just kept going over. Like it was like a magnet, right? He kept getting drawn over there. And yeah, that was God, it feels so. It was long ago, but it doesn't feel that long ago. But yeah, if that is any indication, become this like beautiful venue at Morgan Hill, a dream place. If you could ever like just pick up a place and take it on the road with you, I would think it would be this. But to have pro wrestling there and to have these guys gonna have a banger. That main event, not just saying. I mean, that's a Limitless fans like dream main event. I mean, the fact that, you know, we talk about, I mean, you mentioned Anthony Green, Romero, those guys like pillars of the promotion. Dirty Dango coming in. I mean, everybody has wanted this forever. I mean, just a main guy coming back home, so to speak, for this, you know, top promotion in the state. But then this, you know, Mac, BRG, and Thomas. I mean, we give Jon Alba a lot of shit, which we should. This is in a short amount of time, they have really become it feels like they've been here forever. It's a good, young, fun unit. They're really talented in the ring. People love to hate them. This is like exactly what Limitless needed. I'm sure a lot of people would probably say, you know, without the Alba, of course. But yeah, and to be without Jon for this is very interesting for them. So this is a killer main event. This is awesome.
It's a big test for him, and like it's it's interesting to see how they've started to mesh, because as this brainchild of Jon Alba started to come together, you could see there's a lot of ego to get in the way with these three guys. So to now kind of see them clicking on the same page, and it's more than just in the ring, like there's a shared mentality. They've got matching gear now, which I know seems like a small thing, but it just to show that these guys are coordinating in different frames of mind. I think that brings them tighter together as a trio. So they'll be in for quite a test. Some world-traveled athletes, some of the best in Limitless Wrestling, and, of course, Dirty Dango, who people have been waiting to see in a Limitless ring forever.
Yeah, I remember back when watching WWF back in the 80s, and when you tell when a team was really a team was when they get the matching gear. I mean, that was like that's when you knew. That's when you knew,
the next level.
You
knew they were in for the long haul, or at least a little while.
That's right. That's right. And I love that Alec Bryce is getting another big opportunity here against Eddie Edwards, former Impact World Champion. Obviously, still in the top of the shuffle there, always working against the top stars in Impact. So Alec gets another chance to up his game as well against somebody that is, again, as you mentioned before, has worked all over the world against some of the best. And big test for Price coming up.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to Alec about this match a little bit last week, and just I think it kind of means double from where he comes from. See, he kind of came up through the Boston area wrestling scene, and Eddie Edwards is kind of looked at like a god there, because he's one of the guys who was a local Boston guy and just hit the road, got insanely good at his craft, was able to travel the world and win some of the most prestigious championships in professional wrestling while doing it. So Alec, I mean, surely wants to get a win like that under his belt, especially heading into a big number one contenders match at Fresh Blood. But Eddie Edwards, no slouch. I mean, we saw him bring it to Ace Romero, a nearly 20-minute war a few months ago. And I'm very interested to see how Alec reacts to the vicious chops from Eddie Edwards, which literally took Ace Romero's breath away.
Yeah, and then, of course, the rest of the card, or at least other performers going to be on the card. Becca, Davey N, Masha Slimovic. Speaking of people are going to get a big opportunity in Impact, for those looking ahead for Knockouts Knockdown. If you're into that, the All Women's event coming up this weekend. And also the main event, this tag team that is really, over the last, 6 months or so, it could be even longer in Limitless, fans have really taken them. They're entertaining. They were back for essentially the return show in June, and have worked in Hermon before, and they're coming back for the show as well.
Yeah, and I was interested to see how people were going to take them, because they came into Limitless Wrestling like a lot of people did who are on the roster now in the closed taping era. So if you were a fan who tuned in, which I know not every fan who attends our shows did, but you knew the main event a little bit. You saw them in a few matches. They wrestled the competition. They wrestled MSP. But then seeing them in person, it was an interesting position, because they were slotted against Team Sea Stars. They had an incredible match with them a month prior in New York, something that I really wanted to bring here and have the fans see what these two teams could do. It was the first time, I believe, I'm trying to think if there was any other time, but I think it was the first time that Team Sea Stars actually teamed on a Limitless Wrestling show that was not a closed taping, which is kind of crazy with how long they've been teaming. But people really responded to the main event, wanted to see them back immediately after that match, even coming up with a losing effort. And now we've seen them a few times in different scenarios, tag team, trios with Nolo Catano. They've got something fun coming up at Dancing on Thin Ice.
Yeah. Where'd the name of the show come from?
Geez, I wish I could tell you. I was literally just trying to think of some kind of funny dancing thing that I could do with Dango, because why not? Yeah. But not just dirty dancing or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But no, this is, it kind of fits the narrative of the show, because I feel like we kind of went balls to the wall in a new area here, really trying to bring the authentic Limitless Wrestling experience to Hermon. And it's kind of it's a gamble to try to make this happen in two different areas, where we've got the Yarmouth shows that are pretty established in the Southern Maine area. But up until August of this year, we hadn't really run a full Limitless Wrestling live event in, I think it was 3+ years in the Central Maine area. So it's been awesome to kind of get back to our roots, so to speak. And I'm back on the same like postering routes with some of our students who have never done them before in the Central Maine area. So it's kind of nostalgic in that sense, but I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be a very fun night for everybody coming in. From what I've seen, sending tickets out, there's a lot of people from Northern Maine, all parts of Maine, and even out throughout New England who are coming to this event. So that's very exciting to see.
Awesome. Good to hear. And of course, the week after, Fresh Blood is back. This is the second ever Fresh Blood, if I remember correct.
You got it.
Yeah, the first one that was kind of for those that are relatively new to Limitless for whatever reason. The first one was kind of you wanted to actually just bring in literally fresh blood. There was new names, new faces. Well, not necessarily every single match, but there was a lot of just new people brought in, and people loved this show. I believe the first one was in the Portland Club, if I remember right.
It was this actually marked our first ever Yarmouth, Maine event. So this was our debut at the Ambets. This was following the Portland Expo. So this was October of 2019. We did not do one in 2020 because at that point, we've kind of envisioned this as something that's going to follow the anniversary event every year, be a reoccurring event for Limitless Wrestling. And it is a way to not only get new talent through the door who we've been wanting to work with and finally pulling the trigger, but also some highly anticipated returns, which we'll see on this event as well. But 2019, this was the first Yarmouth Maine event, kicked off with a Let's Wrestle showcase. There was Alec Price and CJ Cruz. So pretty cool to see where Alec and CJ have gone since then.
Yeah, and perfect transition for this Saturday, October 23rd card. Alec Price, #1 contenders match against JT Dunn. This is going to be a banger.
Yes, it is. And a big opportunity for both men. JT Dunn has been very vocal about wanting to get to the top of Limitless Wrestling for years. And he believes it's the house that Dunn built. I mean, we'll talk about it in a second. He made his presence felt at EUPHORIA, even though he was not booked on the card. But Alec Price, he's been close. Had a triple threat matchup earlier this year at Pressure Point, Ace Romero, Daniel Garcia for the Limitless Wrestling Championship. He's been trying to get his hands on that for a long time as well, and has been close on numerous occasions, but now has one man standing in his way to get a championship match. Can he do it?
Have you seen these guys in matches in the past, 4-ways and what have you? Every time they hook it up, it's fun. It's a new kind of fresh match. So this should be great. Speaking of fresh blood, Davey Richards making his Limitless Wrestling debut, I believe. Trisha Dora also making her debut. Waves and Curls. Obviously they were on the road. Is this their first show in front of the Limitless faithful?
It's their first show in front of the Yarmouth faithful. They were on Leave No Doubt earlier this year, the Hermon, Maine debut against the competition, but this will be the first time they're in front of the Yarmouth crowd.
And we talked about the main event. Obviously, they're going to be on the show as well as new fan favorite. And this guy, I think, is going to have a big 2022 in Limitless. You can kind of feel it. At least I think I can feel it. Big Beef coming back.
Oh, yeah. People... It was very interesting because that's another kind of similar to the main event. I was very interested in how people were going to take Big Beef when they saw him for the first time. And the first time they did see him was a strap match with Rip Bison. So a double whammy there, but got a standing ovation from some people after that strap match. And then being the alternate in VLC 2021, ended up wrestling the prize Alec Price and nearly making it to the finals. So the people wanted to see Beef back, and he'll be back at Fresh Blood.
That strap match was one of the, and we get to the year-end awards, that was one of my favorite matches of the year. And it wasn't just some people standing ovation, it was everyone. Because it was, I think it is, some people, as you know, being from the state, some wrestlers just, they connect because people kind of see a little bit of themselves in them. Like they see Big Beef as this, bigger guy, just this hardworking, no nonsense dude that just wants to go out there and have a scrap. And I think it's one of the reasons people love Rip Bison so much, right? You put these guys together, and that match, both guys, I mean, they brawled all over the building, put it all out there. There was no let up. And that's why people, they were giving Beef the appreciation. You saw him as he was walking back to the curtain, kind of just looking out in the crowd like, wow, these people kind of like me. You kind of see that. It's almost like when you see the Grinch's heart kind of grow in, I think all of a sudden he was just like, this isn't so bad. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing him on the 23rd.
Me too. And I think that was a big moment for him to kind of I somewhat feel like he belonged in Limitless Wrestling despite the loss to Rip Bison. They went through such a battle with each other, even just to get there. An awesome series of matches, which you can check out on IWTV. But very excited to have him back, and he'll be back once again after this show before the end of the year. So he'll be around a lot.
And I kind of skipped over her real quick, but Trisha Dora making her Limitless Wrestling debut.
Yeah, long time coming there. Trisha Dora, geez, I feel like we've been trying to line something up for a hot minute now, maybe since the closed taping era, but now it finally comes to fruition. It's perfect that it's on Fresh Blood, and there's a really fun first-time ever matchup coming for her on the 23rd as well. So
interesting.
Looking forward to that.
Very intriguing. Anything else people should know about the show? Talk about tickets and the rest of that.
Yeah, so tickets are available right now. Front row sold out, but limitlesswrestling.com/tickets. You can get your tickets to Fresh Blood. You can get your tickets to Dancing on Thin Ice. And I also wanted to mention real quick, this coming Friday on IWTV, they're streaming an Untitled event. It's got feature matches from a lot of their partner promotions, and we're included in this one. Limitless Wrestling is going to have a showcase as the Prize City OG Alec Price goes one-on-one with Iron Rip Bison. So a very busy month for both wrestlers. This could kickstart a huge month for either man. I mean, Alec Price, we know what he's got lined up for the entire month. He's got Rip Bison, he's got Eddie Edwards, then he's got JT Dunn. Rip Bison, we're going to see in action both at Dancing on Thin Ice and Fresh Blood as well. So it'll be a Rip-filled month as well. And if he can get a victory, you got to believe that he's going to get himself into the title picture after what he's lined up over the past few months.
And will this is going to be a brand new match for Limitless fans? They've never seen it before?
They've seen it once before. And if you go back in the archives, it was actually, I want to say it was maybe a month before everything closed down and we had to cancel everything. I think it was February 2020. These two actually wrestled each other in a little dojo taping that we did, a little closed taping at the Limitless Dojo. And that's for free on YouTube to check out. But they've definitely, and you can tell when you watch that match, have grown as wrestlers. They're not the same wrestlers in the ring. They don't have the same maneuvers. It's a different animal now for both men to prepare for this. So it's going to be very fun to see the rematch.
And IWTV, for those people that are listening right now that are not subscribers, you got to get on that right now. They go there and they still use the promo code Limitless.
Yeah, so you can use the promo code Limitless. Unfortunately, they do not have the 5-day free trial that they used to have, but it does show us some support and kickback if you stay subscribed and do sign up with the promo code Limitless. So.
And let me tell you, as a IWTV subscriber myself, it is, so you can go back. I mean, there's several hundred hours of Limitless stuff there, in addition to like hundreds and hundreds of other promotions. And this is when I was growing up, I used to get Superstars of Wrestling on Channel 51, and that was it. I got 1 hour a week, if that. And then, Saturday night's main event stuff. The fact that I could literally watch wrestling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and never get caught up. It's insane, but there's so much good stuff on here. You can search through things easy. You can jump back and forth. There's other kind of some of the stuff that we're talking about. If you're I want to go back and watch, Fresh Blood from 2019, you can go do that. You can go check out some of the road stuff we were talking about. There's so many different things. It is well worth your, $10 a month or whatever it is. So definitely check that out. And even if you're new and you want to get caught up, watch, commit an hour a day. An hour a day at Limitless keeps the doctor away, Randy. I think that's medically proven. So definitely check that out for sure. One of the best $10 a month you will spend if you're a fan of Limitless, and obviously helps out the promotion as well. Let's see, anything else before we get to recapping Euphoria?
I think we can jump right in. I don't think there's anything else.
All right. So let me kind of give a little bit of background here. Again, my debut as host, and I haven't even seen the show yet. So had my ticket purchased, ready to go, as I always do, plan on leaving at a certain time, was ready to go to Yarmouth, get my 2 slices of pizza, my 2 beers, like I always do, stay in my usual corner and just and check out the show. Earlier in the week, I have a 4-year-old, and she started to get sick, of course, and we have to worry about the COVID stuff and all that. Thankfully, no issues there. But right Friday into Saturday, whatever she had hit me hard, really hard. And I woke up in the morning on Saturday. I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if this is a good idea if I go. And I'm like, we'll kind of see how it goes. and it kind of got progressively worse, if I can speak. And I was just like, I don't think so. And I happened to be looking at my computer, and then I was reminded that MSP and Workhorsemen 2 was happening. And I'm like, maybe can I rally? Because I really wanted to see that live in addition to the whole show. And I couldn't make it, could not make it for the count. And also didn't, these days, like, want to kind of be cool with not getting other people sick, even if you're wearing a mask and things like that. So and just in case, there was some COVID issue or something like that, it'd feel terrible, obviously. But so I'm not going to see the show. And actually, other than the fact I'm here and I know what happened with Jon, I have no idea about anything that happened on this show. I've stayed like spoiler free. So we kind of came up with the idea with it. We're going to go through the match. I'm going to try to guess who I think won, and then Randy's going to tell me all about it. And then we'll kind of see. It's kind of like an unboxing type of thing. This is kind of fun. All right, we'll start right from the get-go. So Lee Moriarty versus Brad Cashew versus Nola Katana versus Alec Price. This sounds like an amazing match I would love to see. You know what? Based on what we've talked about, I'm going to guess that the prize, Alec Price, went over in this four-way.
He did. Alec Price got the win, and that really kind of helped shape his month ahead. He's got a huge month ahead with Eddie Edwards, with JT Dunn, with Rip Bison, and he pulled off the win here. What a contrast of styles in this one. Alec Price, Nolo Katana, love taking it to the air. Brad Cashew and Lee Moriarty, more of a ground-based attack. Alec Price, though, picking up the victory. Insane action in this one. The place was coming unglued, and very interesting change here in the people coming around to Alec Price, who got a standing ovation from some people as he came through the curtain. A big night for him. It felt like something different. It was a buzz in the air for Alec Price on this night. Lee Moriarty offers the handshake at the end of the match, and then here comes JT Dunn. From the front, death by elbow to the back of the head of Alec Price, dropping him. Then there's one for Lee Moriarty, the man that JT Dunn beat a few months ago. And he had a lot of things to say. He was not happy about being left off the 6-year anniversary card. Believes this is the house that Dunn built. I'm sure he has his supporters, but it takes a team to build anything, and that's what happened here. And just, a very interesting manner in which he conducted himself, but I can't say I'm surprised at anything JT Dunn does nowadays. So that's what prompted us to get to Fresh Blood with him and Alec Price, because if JT wants a match, he'll get one, and he's going to get one with the guy that he knocked out and really stole the moment from at EUPHORIA, where Alec Price, we talked about it 2 years ago, he's fighting his way into Limitless Wrestling with a Let's Wrestle Showcase match, and now he's here. And JT Dunn, obviously did not believe that Alec Price deserved any praise after that win. So decided to take the moment for himself, and we'll see if he's got a rude awakening coming on the 23rd.
Yeah, looking forward to all right. And Brad Cashew, always just a solid in-ring competitor. We saw him debut for Limitless at the return show, and he was kind of one of these guys that, he came out the curtain. He got some polite applause, but no one really knew who he was. And then 5-6 minutes into that match, his first match, people were just like, wow, he's good. And every time he's been out, continues to impress. He's one of these guys I think is also going to have a big 2022.
I think so too. And he's really coming into his own right now. He's unapologetically him, and people hate him for it, but you can't say that there hasn't been a little bit of success there. He was able to get his first victory in Limitless Wrestling at the Vacation Land Cup, defeating Kevin Koo. Didn't work out in his favor on this night, but four-ways are so tough. It's such a different environment to put yourself into. You got to have your head on a swivel, and he just wasn't ahead of it on this night.
And of course, Lee Moriarty, AEW signed, and he's been everywhere, and he's also going to have a big year ahead. And that's awesome that he's able to keep coming back. And you've mentioned before in a previous podcast, he sees Limitless is one of his home promotions now. So that's cool that he's around while he's around,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the story with a lot of AEW talent, but it's getting, more clear. We had JD Drake on this show as well. They're really cool about if there's no, AEW conflictions, it's going to work out. So I don't think you have to worry immensely about seeing a lot of the talent who are here right now in AEW. I think they're going to stick around for a little while. So Awesome to have Lee in the house. What a response for him. First man through the curtain at EUPHORIA, and the place went crazy. So awesome to see him get that love, and a lot of love from people throughout the night, especially about getting signed a few weeks earlier.
And speaking about worrying, Kevin Blackwood had to worry about Ace Romero going into this one. This is after Romero was unsuccessful in earning the shot on this night against Daniel Garcia for the Limitless Wrestling World title. And, we didn't know what his mindset was going to be going into this. Obviously, a pissed off Ace Romero is not a fun one to deal with. So Ace Romero versus Kevin Blackwood, I have to give it to the hometown guy. I guess I'm going to go with Ace Romero one in this one.
Well, this one almost turned into a mess very quickly because JT Dunn in the ring. I don't think anybody in the locker room appreciated it, and Ace Romero was at the top of that list. So he came out to interrupt JT Dunn. JT decided, instead of throwing hands with Ace Romero, he was going to duck out the front the same way that he came. And here comes Daniel Garcia down. It was just chaos very early in the show. Here comes Daniel Garcia down the ramp. Garcia's jaw-jacking with Romero, and then Blackwood sneaking in with a chair, drills Ace Romero twice with a chair. And I'm ready for the referee, Nate Speckman, to throw it out at this point. Gets the chair away from Blackwood, checks on Romero. But this match early on was all Kevin Blackwood, a desperate Kevin Blackwood trying to right the ship. He's had 2 straight losses now, one being to JD Drake, one being to Anthony Green. And the ironic thing is both those guys who beat him went on to challenge Daniel Garcia for the championship. So, there was a lot of pressure on this night for Kevin Blackwood, and he was not able to get it done. Ace Romero thwarting an attempt by Daniel Garcia to bring the chair into the ring, and maybe looked like it was going to end via disqualification, but Kevin Blackwood ends up accidentally kneeing Daniel Garcia with the chair, and down goes Kevin Blackwood for the count of 3. Ace Romero got the win.
Nice. Very good. And Kevin Blackwood, is he still heading out to California?
He's already there. This was actually the first time that he was a fly-in. So he came from California to Boston that day and still made it to the venue by like 5:30. So long travel day for Kevin Blackwood now. I guess it was very long before, but now we're shifting from a drive from Buffalo to a flight from LA. So across the country. And here's a crazy thing. Like, I just don't think it's like talked about enough sometimes, the travel of some of these independent wrestlers, because this is the second time, I believe, that Lee Moriarty and JD Drake were in Maine for Limitless on a Saturday, would travel from Maine to Boston that night so that they had a flight early enough to go from Boston to LA the next day for PWG.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, I remember you guys mentioning that last time. I mean, that's a crazy day. That's a crazy day. I mean, there's so many things that can happen in between with travel and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you're hot, you're hot. And this is, these guys want to be able to make these appearances and take every opportunity they can when they can. And, it's crazy, right? Crazy stuff.
Yep.
All right. One of the most anticipated rematches, I would say, in the promotion's history. One of the most anticipated matches on this card, MSP versus the Workhorsemen. Now reunited Workhorsemen, given that Anthony Henry no longer with WWE. Their loss is everyone else's gain. He's already having obviously great matches. As we record this, I believe last night or this past weekend, wrestled Minoru Suzuki, and everyone said that was a great match. Reuniting with his old partner JD Drake here against MSP in the rematch. This first match was one of the best Limitless matches I've ever seen in person, no doubt. I have to go with the hometown guys, MSP, going over in this one.
Incorrect on that one, actually. The Workhorsemen able to even up the series in Limitless Wrestling. An electric reunion for those two. JD Drake and Anthony Henry, who had not teamed together. I believe it had been since January of this year. So not a terribly long layoff, but I think a lot of people thought it was all over for the Workhorsemen. Anthony Henry, of course, got signed, had a brief run with the WWE, unfortunately released earlier this year. But like you said, their loss is everyone else's gain. They really took it to MSP in this matchup. And I think anytime that you step in the ring with the Workhorsemen, that you're going to have to kind of take the intensity up a notch and be ready to kind of weather that storm. And I really, for a majority of this match, MSP, it looked like they were going to take those big hits and keep on coming. But eventually, how much is too much? You know, at some point, JD Drake and Anthony Henry just overwhelmed MSP, and they were able to walk away with a victory. And we heard them talk after the match in ring. I think eventually we're going to see the rubber match here. They want it. I think everybody really wants to figure out who the better team is. And now with this series tied 1-1 in Limitless Wrestling, it's got to happen at some point. They even said it. So that's something that we're looking into. We're going to figure out when the time is right to pull the trigger on something like that. But it looks like something coming in the future.
Yeah.
You'll get a chance to see that in person again.
Yeah, I can't wait. That was you know, when he got released, I mean, that was my first thought was, you know, I might, you never know, because some people may be like, I kind of have moved on from X. You know, that was one of my thoughts with, you know, Anthony Green when he got cut, was everyone's like, oh, he's just going to come back and do the same things he did before. Well, there may be some things, but he also may be like, look, I've learned about X, Y, and Z, and I want to try doing this, and I may not want to go back to exactly everything I was doing before. And
right,
you know, everyone's a little bit different. Their lives are different. Their situation, everything's different. But I'm really glad these guys are back together because they're so goddamn good. And the fact that, again, we get to see them, and my hope is that I hope they get a run in AEW at some point, because I know that, you know, the wingman stuff is kind of funny, but it's like when you see these guys together, they're one of just the best teams out there. They are so good. They complement each other so well. You know, the fact these MSP matches have been so great, it's a compliment to both sides. To quite frankly, no slight on MSP, because those guys could have a great run in AEW or anywhere as well. My hope is that they do get some opportunity there, given that one of the guys is there already.
For real. And I could tell the excitement with JD Drake to hop back into this endeavor with Anthony Henry, who's one of his best friends. And it's got to feel awesome. And I think it would be awesome to see them on that stage together, especially with how loaded the AEW tag team division is and how many matches they could have with different teams. I think that'd be awesome. And I really hope that eventually they do get that opportunity. I'm optimistic that they will.
Yeah. And again, JD Drake is a perfect fit for Limitless, even though he gives you shit every single time you try to get him away from selling his gimmicks during intermission. It's one of the best running gags in the business.
Yeah, I think usually the first thing that he says to me when I see him in person is that he quits. So I'm always happy to see JD Drake, and he's just I can't say enough good about like how he was in the locker room, especially in the closed taping era of Limitless Wrestling. It's just the shit that people don't see. When we had an injury, he was right there. When people wanted advice on their matches or anything, advice, even some of our students, like he's a wealth of knowledge and always there for people who want to hear it. So awesome to have in the locker room, and he'll be around as much as we can help.
Let's go into what so many people were thinking is a true main event of the night, given the stakes. Prestigious and Jon Alba taking on Team Davien. Davien, Becca, Ashley Vox, Delmi XO, of course, the Sea Stars. They're getting runs all over the place as well. They've been in Limitless forever. Obviously, I'm here, so we know what happened. But was it as entertaining as just emotionally? I mean, I don't even have the words for, you know, Jon Alba getting in the ring. It must have been just like Tom Brady last night coming back to Foxborough. Just the anticipation of seeing what happened with this match. Tell me all about it.
Oh man, it was a spectacle. Jon threatened to leave the venue when he found out that he was not the main event of the evening.
Oh, of course. We
were able to get him out there. Had a nice custom make Davien prestigious again shirt. He had and he wanted me to specify this. It was raccoon fur overcoat. His best Conor McGregor. He came out very confident, which was surprising in a match like this. But Jon Alba, known to sniff his own shit. Team Davien was just locked in, I felt like, from the opening moments of this matchup. This was awesome. And it was a spectacle because we actually did see Jon Alba in the ring on numerous occasions, which I was kind of intrigued at how that was going to go. But Prestigious kind of used him as a flying missile, so to speak. There's an awesome clip I'll have to send you now that you know the results of everything, where he is, I believe it was by Mack and Channing, Alba is pressed up in the air and then thrown like a foot or two in the air and just crashes down on Davian. And it is hilarious. But it's just like, it honestly showed how good, even with Jon Alba in an in-ring situation, how good Prestigious is at kind of meshing with each other and pulling strings to try to make something work, or able to cheat behind the referee's back. Like they're hitting on numerous things that I think a few months ago we kind of saw those shortcomings with the new team. And now they're really starting to pull things together and cooperate as a unit. And that nearly helped them make Davian prestigious. I mean, the stakes of this match were huge. It was, if Team Davy loses, Davian must join prestigious and, as John said, become their prestigious little bitch. His words, not mine. And if Jon Alba and prestigious lost, which they did, John's gone for the rest of the year in Limitless Wrestling, and he's gone from this podcast. And that's what happened, because once Team Davy got Jon Alba alone, it was not good for the Alpster. Davy popped him, ripped his shirt off, started chopping him. All the girls started stomping him in the corner. He took a devastating Davy End of Life, that running drop kick into the post. That's another good one I'll have to send you. And Jon Alba tapped out. Jon Alba lost it for his boys, and he's gone for the rest of the year.
Wow. Alba tapped.
Alba tapped out.
Unbelievable.
Beautiful sight.
Man, I mean, that's like, I know that, I mean, a merchandise idea, Randy, if you want, you could have the still shot of that and sell it for Christmas cards or holiday cards and have them available event. I mean, what family member, even if they don't know John, what family member of anyone would not want to get that sight? I mean, they would just see his face. As Billy Gunn told him once, he has a very punchable face. They would see that and be like, oh, I feel such warmth that he's getting the pain on his face would make people enjoy the holidays that much more, I think. So I'll just throw that out there. No commission needed, no finder's fee, anything like that. So, holiday cards with Jon Alba's, cringing face would be fantastic.
Be a beautiful sight. And his ears must be burning, because he just tagged me in a photo literally as we're talking about him.
Of course. Anyone's talking about John, he knows they're talking about him. And obviously Davian continuing a nice run for her since the restart here. She's been a major factor in Limitless. Becca, of course, I have not been on here since in a long time, but I mean, you guys have talked about it. I won't, her emergence is in this past year has been like insane. Like, just the look, she has the look, the in-ring, the match against Charles Mason. As I texted you, I thought just kicked her up like 5 notches because the fortuitous blood. And it was just her run. I'm really, again, we still have a lot to go in this year. Just saying in the year ahead, big things for both of them. This is a nice showcase for them. And I mean, they're practically going to be Limitless Hall of Famers for putting Jon Alba out for even a short amount of time. Who knows?
Yes, they are. And if you want to see them on AEW as well, we're taping this Monday, October 4th. So the Monday, October 4th edition of AEW Dark Elevation, you'll actually see Davey in action against Abaddon, and Becca is in action against Chris Statlander. So
wow,
be sure to check that out for free on YouTube as well.
Nice stuff. And then we'll go into one of the more intriguing matches on the bill. Well, they're all intriguing, but this especially because it's the first time it's ever happened in Limitless. Ava Everett versus Love Doug. This has been playing out for quite some time. Love Doug, really someone that came through the pandemic era as a fan favorite. It was kind of great. It was great to see him at the restart, just how people took to him. Obviously campaigned to get in the VLC, screwed out of his opportunity by Ava Everett before. That's what led to Big Beef getting the alternate opportunity against Alec Price, which we talked about. These two rivals doing battle in an art canvas death match. I can't even imagine, but I have to go with the people's champion, the people's choice, Love Doug.
Love Doug did pull it off.
Yes.
Love always wins in the end. It just would not stop between these two. And we got to this point where it was finally going to be Ava Everett's final masterpiece here. She's the icon on canvas, and she decided to bring quite a few art canvases to this thing. And I really like another one that we were talking about earlier with Slade and Alexander Lee. I had no idea what we were getting into with this matchup, but they were both well prepared. I mean, There were art canvases lining the ring on the outside of the ring. Love Doug ended up finishing it off with a love story, which is like a Michinoku driver, so to speak, off of a ladder through a barbed wire door on the floor. Just
Awesome.
Absolutely insane shit in this match. They were slamming art canvases over each other's head. There were skewers in this thing that went into Ava Everett's skull. I mean, it's just absolute insanity between these two. And I think it had to be. I think we had to get to this point for it to finally end. And Love Doug was able to pull off the victory. Falls count anywhere, because I don't think that after something like that, they were getting up. So it was very beneficial to Love Doug that it was falls count anywhere in this matchup. He was able to pin Ava Everett on the floor and finally prevail, finally put Ava Everett behind him, and hopefully better things ahead for Love Doug and Limitless Wrestling.
Man, the skewers in the forehead, the Brandon Kirk spot.
I know. And they were very reminiscent to that when the skewers were released and just staying in the skull of Ava Everett. Just a wild visual.
Man, unbelievable. Congrats to Love Doug. Jesus, that sounds awesome. Okay, so next up, Rip Bison versus the One Called Manders. One Called Manders, I believe, has worked in Limitless once before and has not been back since. Works primarily in the Midwest a lot. AIW, AAW, there's some of those promotions there, but regular guy working, has been in Limitless before. It might have been in a scramble match. Am I remembering that right?
Yep, that is correct. He was at Twilight Zone, November 2019.
So he was come back for singles competition against the Ripper. I mean, I got to go with the Ripper. He's another guy that I think really, the character changes worked. He's just really fun and awesome. And I thought he did really great during the pandemic era. Fans love him. I'm going to go Big Rip.
He's been on a tear, and he continued it here. But Manders, I mean, I don't know if I've seen someone. He's had two tough opponents in a row with Ace Romero and now Manders, and this was a nice way for Rip Bison to get back on track. He's had a great and successful year thus far. Really, one of the big slip-ups was the Ace Romero match, and that's nothing to sneeze at. But Manders really brought it to him here and was really, it felt like he was fighting to make a statement and be someone who's, coming back to Limitless Wrestling soon. And I think he definitely earned that right in this match with Rip Bison. I think it would have been right up your alley. Felt very like an All Japan 80s match, which I think is exactly up both of their alleys as well. It was just so back and forth, so many big maneuvers that would normally put someone out, I think, for the count of three. And these two are trying to shake it off as best as they could to go mano a mano for as long as they could. But Rip Bison eventually wearing out Manders, picking up the victory here at Euphoria.
Got another free idea for you, Randy, if you want it.
Lay it on me.
So I know there's only one championship in Limitless right now, the Limitless World title, the title everyone wants to get to. And people have talked about the tag team titles wherever, Danny Garcia and Kevin Blackwood ruining that for everyone earlier this year. I think you could do a new singles title called the Haas Fighting Championship.
We have enough of them, that's for sure.
I was just thinking that you get your Bison, Manders, you have Ace Romero, you have Big Beef, JD Drake. Love Doug. But, you have all these big guys. I was thinking if you ever wanted to do just a something different, and again, it kind of came to mind. It'd be fun to see a Haas Fighting Championship, so to speak, in Limitless someday, because there's so many guys. Like it's and the matches always turn out great. I can't picture one that has been disappointing. And you have guys even like Eddie Edwards comes in, and so just to kind of throw that out there, maybe it could be just a title defendant only in Hermon or something like that. A lot of Haas's up that area. I
mean, we got a roster filled with them, so something like that could work out for sure.
Yeah, maybe that could be how Alba gets his way back in. He has to defeat the Haas Fighting Championship because he's a Haas himself,
Yeah, bulk up, John.
All right, so we go to the second to last match of the night, an impromptu tag team match. Smart Mark Sterling taking the night off from managing the undefeated Jade Cargill in AEW, returning to the Limitless Wrestling ring, teaming with VSK, who has been in the promotion before, and taking on talking with these guys all night, the main event. And tell me how this one. My assumption, I'm going to go with whatever it takes, picking up the win here in this match, even though it's a coin flip match for sure. But I'm interested in how this match came about.
So I don't know how many people have been paying attention on social media, but a couple months ago, Mark Sterling and VSK put out a couple videos, put out a couple tweets, and we're really getting some buzz and traction about putting out a challenge to MSP because, and reasonable gripe here from Mark Sterling and VSK, before the pandemic, before everything closed down, they got one of the last victories in tag team competition. They actually beat MSP in their own challenge. It was an MSP open challenge, like a 4-way tag team invitational. And Mark Sterling and VSK walked out victorious February 2020, and then were not seen throughout the entire closed taping era or the return shows for Limitless Wrestling. And I think that stuck in their craw a little bit. I think they were a little pissy about it, and understandably so. So they started voicing their opinions on social media, tagging MSP and wanting a matchup coming up. And I believe that was heading into the July show earlier this year. And we ended up not even seeing MSP on that event, much less whatever it takes. And the challenge was not accepted. And then MSP were thrown into 4-way tag team action at VLC. And it seemed like, once again, Mark Sterling and VSK were being thrown to the side, forgot about. And eventually, I guess you got to take matters into your own hands, because Mark Sterling contacted us, said he wanted a microphone at EUPHORIA. He had something to say. Not going to turn down Mark Sterling after, not seeing him for such a long time here in Limitless Wrestling. We gave him that opportunity, and he and VSK came out in gear. We're not going to leave the ring until they had something for them, because not only has MSP refused their calls and not answered their open challenge, but they have not been on a Limitless show still. So in tag team capacity, at least. So they put out the challenge, the main event. Ringleader Midas, Jay Lyon, accepted the challenge, and whatever it takes really took him to deep water. I mean, it looked like very clearly that whatever it takes, we're going to walk out with the victory. Some underhanded tactics, some foreign object play in here. They popped the main event. It looked like it was all over for him. And the main event pulling off their first victory here in Limitless Wrestling. They got an insane reaction when they came out, and an insane reaction when they took this one home, as Ringleader Midas and Jay Lyon got the victory.
Very good. Very good. Big things ahead for them. Obviously, they're going to be coming up on these shows in October we talked about. And we finally get to the main event of the evening. This has been a match that has really been kind of building for a long time. We saw the surprise return of Anthony Green against Daniel Garcia several months ago. That ended in a DQ that led into the Vacation Land Cup. And Anthony Green earning this title shot against the long reigning champion in Daniel Garcia. Guy's been all over the place. Speaking of AEW, and has been not apologetic in saying that, Anthony Green left and he's still here. And he said that a lot. And this is a one-on-one match. Anthony Green earning the spot, looking for his second reign as Limitless World Champion after having to vacate the title, never really losing it. Had to vacate the title as he gets signed to WWE. Now he's back. Let's see. I've been thinking about this one for ever since for over a week. I think, Randy, I think what happened here, I think Anthony Green got it done and is now the reigning Limitless World Champion. Am I right?
You're right. Yes, you
are.
I
got it.
The second reign for Anthony Green, the first time ever that someone has been a 2-time Limitless Wrestling World Champion. And what a matchup these two had. This was fun to watch, just to sit back and watch. Anthony Green, I think, on another level right now, as is Daniel Garcia, who is got to be the busiest man in professional wrestling right now. I mean, we're consistently seeing him twice a week, sometimes for AEW. We're seeing him on the indies 3 or 4 times a week. It's an absolutely insane and rigorous schedule. And I think, like Top Shelf was saying on the preview podcast, I think eventually that's going to catch up with you, and some people are going to get the better of you on occasions. And that was this night. Anthony Green getting the job done, even planting a super kick on Kevin Blackwood late into the matchup and getting the job done. So incredible stuff here. We're going to have the air date official, I think, within the next day or two for EUPHORIA on IWTV. So make this appointment viewing, especially this matchup here. And a lot went down at the conclusion of this. We saw Daniel Garcia finally giving props to Anthony Green. And I say finally because Daniel Garcia is not, giving out a lot of props or handshakes right now. I mean, he knows where he lies, and that's one of the top wrestlers going right now today. So he's not, he's not giving out a lot of props right now to anybody. And it was kind of an insane moment to just everybody was silent in the room as Garcia, not even on a microphone, just talking man to man with Anthony Green, center of the ring, giving him his props, giving him his due, and then Garcia leaving, giving Anthony Green that moment that was quickly taken away by Jon Alba's boys. Prestigious hits the ring. They drop Anthony Green. Here comes Ace Romero. It's still 3-on-2. And then we had a surprise Dirty Dango in the house. His first appearance for Limitless Wrestling. He makes the save, heads to the ring, dropping Prestigious, even throttled himself over the top rope. And that is how we got this trio's main event for Dancing on Thin Ice. He made it happen. And now we're going to see that October 15th in Hermon.
Everything makes sense now, Randy. All the puzzle pieces are together. A tremendous. Wow, that is something. So obviously that leads us into, as you mentioned, Friday, October 15th in Hermon, Maine at the Morgan Hill Event Center. Again, we talked about the beginning of the show, the trios main event, huge thing there. Eddie Edwards, Alec Price, Alexander Lee versus Slade, no DQ, MSP versus Abe Everett and Charles Mason, Becca, Davia, and Masha Slamovich. The main event going to be on that show. And again, fresh blood, Yarmouth, Maine, Yarmouth and Vets. We have Alec Price versus JT Dunn, Davey Richards, Trisha Dora, Waves and Curls, Big Beef, and the main event again. So it's October is a fun month for Limitless. You can follow Limitless, of course, if you're not already. I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you can follow them all over social media. Easily search for Limitless Wrestling, YouTube TV, or YouTube rather. Your channel blows up. I mean, it's like the amount of subscribers for an indie promotion in Maine. It is insane how many subscribers you have, but then also these views in these videos. It's unbelievable.
Some are really insane, yeah. And I think within the next few months, we're probably going to crack 1 million on YouTube, which is awesome. But yeah, we appreciate everybody who subscribes. We try to really make it worth your while. We're posting videos just about every single day. So whether it's Maine's pro wrestling history or a full match from a Limitless show or a student show, you're getting something pretty much every day on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling.
Right. And I understand money is tight for some people. If you can't afford IWTV, which we talked about before, you can get your fill on YouTube. But again, IWTV this Friday, 7 p.m. Get to see Alec Price versus Rip Bison as part of IWTV Untitled. So that's a big thing. Use the promo code Limitless, and that helps out the promotion as well. You can buy tickets for all these events at limitlesswrestling.com, including, in addition to merchandise. You can buy shirts, stickers, whatever you want, and obviously you can buy these things at all the shows as well. So I think we pretty much hit everything, right? And what else am I forgetting?
I think we got it covered. We are going to have some reprints of our new Limitless Wrestling shirt that we dropped at EUPHORIA, that we're going to have some reprints of that, I believe, available for Dancing on Thin Ice, and they'll be available while supplies last in person. So make sure you get there early to grab one, and make sure you're grabbing your tickets early as well. Under 80 remain for Hermon, and I'm looking at it right now. I think we've only got 120 remaining for Yarmouth, so don't be waiting on grabbing your tickets.
Nope, those tickets do go fast, and again, if you plan ahead, don't wait till the last minute. I've done that before. The grace of God, a Limitless man happened to have an extra ticket as I was walking in the door. So don't be me, right? Don't be me. Make these shows and support your local indie promotion. Randy, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad to be here. I hope people are happy to have me here. No Jon Alba. I assume that'll give us a nice little bump. But I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to talking about Limitless Wrestling from here to the end of time.
Awesome. Glad to have you, Josh. And we'll be back next week, I think, with a Dancing on Thin Ice full preview. So thank you, folks, for listening. We'll see you next week.